Hello and welcome to World News here on TVP World. Here are the latest from the Central Eastern European region. I'm Anna Kalczejska. Viktor Orbán's government is using all kinds of instruments to attack the opposition. Zoltán Tár, vice president of Hungary's main opposition party, TISA, told TVP World exclusively. Péter Magyar, the head of TISA, wrote earlier on X, Fidesz is attempting to infiltrate TISA with operatives to disrupt our community, gather intel and discredit us.
The attacks on our party as the only really viable opposition of the ruling Fidesz party are intensifying. And since this government practically has access to any kind of instruments which they wish to use, they are using practically any kind of instruments. They are intensifying their attacks in the media, in the social media as well, spreading lies and even creating fake profiles in order to put us into a very bad communicational situation. But it seems that so far it's not working for them.
Israel attacked the headquarters of Iran's defense ministry and caused a fire at an oil refinery near Tehran, while Iran launched missiles at Israel, making these the most direct attacks between the opponents yet. Meanwhile, according to German Ministry for Foreign Affairs, Johan Wadephul, Germany, France and Great Britain are ready to immediately proceed to negotiations with Iran to mitigate the escalating tensions in the Middle East. The overnight strikes on Israel, including those on the cities of Haifa and Tel Aviv, killed at least 8 people, among them children, according to emergency services. Israel's foreign ministry said that sirens sent millions across the country to shelters. This recent infliction of violence follows Israel's surprise offensive on Friday, intended to curb Iran's nuclear program. According to Iranian media, Israeli attacks killed a minimum of 80 people over the 2 days, of which 20 were children. Amid the ongoing conflict, Iran cancelled the 6th round of nuclear talks with the United States. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that continuing negotiation in light of Israel's attacks is futile. Referring to the ongoing hostilities between Israel and Iran, U.S. President Donald Trump said that in case America is attacked by Tehran, it will retaliate. On Wednesday, Iran's Defense Minister Aziz Nasirzadeh suggested that if a conflict is forced upon on Tehran, it will not refrain from targeting U.S. bases in host countries.
The US had nothing to do with the attack on Iran tonight. If we are attacked in any way, shape or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the US armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. However, we can easily get a deal done between Iran and Israel and end this bloody conflict.
U.S. President Donald Trump has discussed the Middle East conflict with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. The two spoke for nearly an hour, with Putin sharing his recent conversations with the leaders of both Israel and Iran. A Kremlin aide, Yuri Ushakov, said in a statement that Putin denounced Israel's attacks on Iran and expressed Russia's readiness to take part in possible mediation efforts. Putin and Trump also spoke about the war in Ukraine. Russia has ramped up its missile and drone strikes on Ukraine following 2 rounds of peace talks between Kiev and Moscow in Turkey. Putin told Trump that he was open to continue negotiations with Ukraine after June 22nd, as agreed, once the current prisoner exchanges have been completed. The world is crystallizing. Western democracies versus autocracies versus proxies and non-state actors that are hard to limit, said Luis Wirenga from the Baltic Defense College in an exclusive interview for TVP World at the Glapsec Forum in Prague. Wirenga discussed the interconnected nature of global conflicts, particularly in relation to recent Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, highlighting the challenges posed by Russia, China, Iran and North Korea.
Some people like to view these conflicts in silos, but I think that the geopolitical situation is so interconnected that there's no way that it's completely going to be in a silo. So if you look at CRINC, China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, especially China, Russia, and Iran, those countries are interconnected with Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, and so they don't have any real formal alliance. They don't have a system based on values. They have a system like we do in NATO. They have a system based on mutual disdain for the West, especially the United States. So for Russia, of course, they want the United States to be diminished. They want U.S. influence to be diminished in all regions, most importantly Europe, but also the Middle East. And if you look at pre-2022, going back to the Obama years when Syria was hot, Russia took a keen involvement in the Middle East. And so with the alliances there, I think that it's impossible to spell out also if you look at energy prices, if you draw in Saudi Arabia, and if there were to be a really heavy-handed sanctions package levied at Russia to actually get them to stop and shut off their gas station, then that would just spill over globally. So you can't really firmly cement them. And also I think it's value system as well. I mean, that's sort of how the world is crystallizing. Western democracies versus autocracies versus, proxies and non-state actors that are doing, committing atrocities and acts of terrorism. It's going to be hard to limit that.
President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that a new group of officers, border guards and sergeants had been returned home in a prisoner exchange with Russia on Saturday. In his nightly address, Zelensky said most of these soldiers had been held since the first year of the war. He added that more exchanges are expected to take place next week.
Today, there was another exchange, the fourth one this week. It is very important we are bringing our guys home from Russian captivity. And this time we managed to bring back, in particular, our Ukrainian officers, army officers and border guards. Of course, soldiers and sergeants are also in this exchange today. Many of them have been held captive since 2022. These are the defenders of Mariupol, Azovstal and guys from other areas of the war. They are already at home, already in Ukraine. All of them are being provided with the necessary assistance after being wounded and after the harsh conditions of captivity in Russia. Their conditions are really very difficult. We are working to bring back all our other people who are now in Russian captivity. We are planning to continue the exchanges next week. At least this is the agreement. We hope that the Russian side will fulfill its part of these humanitarian obligations and do as agreed.
Berlin plans to prioritize spending on defense in the European Union's next budget while resisting any moves to increase the size of member states' contributions, according to the Financial Times. The FT reports that a position paper prepared by Germany calls for the EU budget to fuel joint procurement and scale up orders for European arms manufacturers. Under Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Germany has looked to raise its military expenditure and invest in the arms industry in the face of Russia's continued threat to Europe. According to the FT, Germany will argue that the EU budget should also fund dual-use technologies, military transport corridors and other security-related initiatives, despite current restrictions on defense spending from the common budget. U.S. President Donald Trump told crowds at a huge parade in Washington to mark the military's 250th anniversary that America's soldiers never give up, never surrender, and always fight to win. The display, involving nearly 7,000 troops, coincided with Trump's 79th birthday. The U.S. leader said the country's enemies understand that if America is threatened, its forces would come for them.
Time and again, America's enemies have learned that if you threaten the American people, our soldiers are coming for you. Your defeat will be certain, your demise will be final, and your downfall will be total and complete. Because our soldiers never give up, never surrender, and never, ever quit. They fight, 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 and they win, win, win. Thanks to their extraordinary service and devotion, 250 years later, America stands tall, America stands proud, and America stands free. We're the hottest country in the world right now, and our country will soon be greater and stronger than ever before.
June 14th marks the 38th anniversary of the death of movie director Staniswaf Baya, the driving spirit behind movies like Teddy Bear and Men, Woman, Wanted. Baya is considered the king of Polish comedy. To pay homage to the iconic filmmaker, one of the most famous milk bars in Warsaw underwent an interior redesign to make it reflect the spirit of the Polish People's Republic, emblematic of the director's work.
I am in a milk bar in Warsaw. Now, these types of places were very popular during life under communism in Poland. They were places where you could get something, well, that tasted like home-cooked food and was pretty cheap. Now, it's here in such a place where a tribute to Polish film director Staniswaf Baya took place. He was known for showing the absurdities of life during communism.
During the communist period in Poland from 1944 to 1989, food rationing coupons were used to purchase portions of basic food products as well as other items. On Friday, Polish actors and actresses made the patrons of one of Warsaw's many milk bars feel as if they were back in the days so insightfully captured by Staniswaf Baya.
Those times would grow so absurd that Baraya's ridicule helped people survive through what was ultimately a very hard period. It was really tough. Take food rationing coupons, for example. Can I have one? I remember when I was sent to the store for butter and I lost the coupon. My mom and I spent 3 hours looking for it.
Baya is known for satirical and absurdist films that dealt with the social and political issues of the Polish People's Republic. Under communist rule, freedom of speech was severely limited, and censorship targeted any expression deemed critical of the government or communist ideology. Actor Piotr Pręgowski, who starred in Baya's 1981 Teddy Bear, says that the use of surreal humor helped get past the censors.
The cutlery on chains, I think that this was a metaphor for slavery and the shackles used to bind people, a reference, so to speak. Maybe the censors really were panicking that if they let this one slide, then everyone will make the symbolic connection.
As for milk bars, they are a staple of Poland's culinary scene. They first grew popular in the interwar period and became go-to eateries in the Polish People's Republic.
The food here is very tasty and we love it here. The dishes taste almost like home-style cooking. In Slovakia we also had a tradition of milk bars, but unfortunately they died out in the late 1990s.
So in order to find out more about what life was like during living under communist rule in Poland, make sure to check out a movie or two by Staniswaf Baya. And in order to find the taste of good Polish food, make sure to visit a milk bar when in Poland. Fun fact, the bowls during those times weren't really screwed to the tables. That was just a way by Baya to show the absurdities of life during those times. For TVP World from Warsaw, Alex Somlinski.
And on that note, we conclude this edition of World News, but please stay tuned to TVP World for more continuous coverage.